Okay, so when you're traveling, you record where you can. I was going to record outside, but the neighbors' dogs are out. They're really loud. And I thought, better not do that, especially today, because today we have a really important piece of content, and it is called The 9 Money Habits for Financial Freedom. Now, some of these are a little unusual, or you may not have heard them before. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about what do I mean by financial freedom. Now, I know that there's a lot of content out there about financial habits or money habits to build wealth. And every single one of these habits is on the journey toward building wealth. These are all things that every person needs to do, whether they want to build wealth or acquire assets or create multiple streams of income, whatever that looks like for you, so that you can create the financial freedom that you need to accumulate that wealth. Now, for some of us, that wealth piece is not quite as big of a thing. It's not part of our grand scheme or our bigger goals, or it doesn't align with our values and the other things that we want to be doing in life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we are going to talk about is how to have financial freedom. And that means feeling confident about how you manage your money. That means not worrying about how your bills are going to get paid or how you're going to get food on the table, and kind of creating a rhythm where you're getting some money saved, you're being able to afford some of the things that you really want, and you feel really good about it and really confident with it. Managing money does not have to be rocket science. And so we're going to go through these 9 simple, believe me, simple, doable habits to get you on your way to financial freedom. Now, for those of you who are new here, this is Upcycled Adulting, my YouTube channel, where I am here to help you upcycle your real life into your best life by creating healthy habits, overcoming obstacles, and growing to accomplish your goals. And even if those goals are not financial, taking that stress off of worrying about your finances or how your bills are going to get paid will free up your time and energy to do the other things you want to do, and free up some money for you to be able to invest in those things. So let's get started. The number one money habit you want to get into is to change your thoughts about money. Change the way you think about it, change the way you approach it. Now, I don't just mean like change your money mindset, like change whether or not you're deserving of money, or whether or not you value money, or you are pricing, for example, if you have a business, whether you're pricing your services according to your value. What I mean by changing your thoughts about money is even changing things like money is hard to manage, or I'll never get ahead financially. A big one that I see a lot is a lot of people thinking that if they get ahead financially, that either they owe things to other people, or that means some other part of their life is going to suffer. And it does not have to be that way. One of the best ways to change your thoughts about money is through affirmations. And as you all know, you can check out my affirmation masterclass in Inner Circle. I'm telling you, affirmations are scientifically proven to work, but so many of us are approaching them wrong. Anything that you've heard about money related to things like love of money is a sin, or money is the root of all evil, listen, that's not about the fact that you're financially free. It's about the fact that when we make money the most important thing in our lives, that is problematic. We can manage our money well and create financial freedom and even wealth without making money the most important thing in our lives, without worshiping it, without endlessly chasing it. We can do that by following these money habits to make it nice and simple. Number 2 is to find money. One of the things that I think is rarely talked about is the fact that people who have financial freedom, and people even who acquire wealth, are always looking for ways to find money, whether that's great investments that will get them income, or that is saving money by paying off higher interest debt, or that is taking advantage of discount and point programs, whatever that looks like. We want to be really mindful of making the most of our money. In addition to that, I always say that it is so important that if you find money, you pick it up. I know that sounds potentially silly to go around picking up pennies and dimes and things like that, but I have to tell you that this is a massive money mindset changer. A close friend of mine started doing this, and I'm telling you that if you take a jar, put it on your kitchen counter, throw any money you find in that jar, one, you'll have started saving, but two is it will be a constant reminder to pull you out of that scarcity mentality about money and remind you that money is everywhere. And also to remind you that it's just a thing, right? It's just a thing and it's everywhere. So we don't need to fixate or freak out or worry because money is present all around us all the time. Number 3 is set mini goals. Now, a lot of people talk about setting SMART goals when it comes to money, as in SMART, the acronym SMART goals. The issue I have with setting SMART goals when it comes to money or really any aspect of your life is how much pressure they tend to create, especially when we create that timetable, right? We lean hard into motivation and self-discipline to hit that number or to hit that goal time or to hit that whatever it is. And the problem there is that it doesn't give us the room we need to learn. Because at the end of the day, anything we want to maintain in life, we need to make sure we're learning in the process. And so that means we need to buffer in a little bit of time to mess it up, time to fail, time to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Time to observe ourselves, time to figure out where we maybe need more. We need to get more educated, or we need to find somebody to help us. So I prefer to lean into the idea of setting mini goals. When you accomplish a mini goal, you feel amazing. It helps you build momentum and it keeps you on track. So even once you've accomplished a bigger goal, you are able to maintain that goal in your life because you've learned how over time and patience and trial and error. But what mini goal is right for you really depends on you. If you've never saved for anything before, if you have never set a financial goal for yourself before, then you want to set a goal that is smaller. And I'm talking like something that you could do in a month to 2 months so that you really feel that payoff. Because any time that we make adjustments in our finances, we're going to see that there are places that we feel like, wow, that's a sacrifice or that's hard to stick to. It's very similar to trying to lose weight and being on a diet, right? If you feel deprived all the time, you're not very likely to stick with it. Being able to just set a small goal instead of saying I'm going to save $100 a week, saying I'm going to save $5 a week. And at the end of that 2 months, I'm going to have $40 or $50 and I'm going to use that to buy this special little thing that I wanted. Setting a mini goal will help you feel rewarded and feel the payoff of making intentional financial decisions much sooner, which makes it less painful and much easier to set the habit. So, set a mini goal. Number 4, track everything. I say this a lot about both time and money. A lot of times, these two resources get away from us and we don't even know what happened. It's like at the end of the day, you're like, where did all the time go? I didn't get any of the things I wanted done. Same thing happens with money. The bills come in and you're looking at your bank account and you're like, I know I made more than that. And you're trying to figure out how to get it done. And so I always say, track everything. When you track everything, this is not to punish yourself about what you spent or to beat yourself up about what you're spending on. This is so that you can make aligned and intentional choices about where your money's going. Now, personally, I use the EPD method, and everybody who learns about money management, time management, or home management in my Take Control of Your Life course series learns the EPD method. And that there's a workbook and everything else to help you sort that out. That is in Inner Circle. But essentially the EPD method actually takes you through not just writing down all of the spending that you do and the earning that you do, but actually evaluating each item to decide, is this essential, preferred, or desired? Because where we have the most wiggle room is in that preferred and desired category. If you're watching this video right now and you're like, I am struggling with the essentials, that's the first thing to get nailed down. If you're worried about how you're paying for food, or how you're going to keep a roof over your head, or how you're going to pay your utility bills, right? Your basic needs, that is where you have to focus first, because until those needs are met, you can't pursue your other goals. You cannot do these other things. You have to have your essential needs met. But for a lot of us, we are actually spending more on preferred and desired items without realizing it. And we're sacrificing other preferred and desired items because of that. Meaning, for example, we're eating out more often than we ever have as a nation. We all are. And as we're eating out more, we're tapping into our financial resources. That money could be set aside for a vacation, or for holidays, or for a new iPad, whatever it is that you happen to want. And we don't even realize it. And sometimes it's happening so much so that it's affecting our ability to pay for things that are essential to us, whether that's your car payment, childcare, housing, whatever that might look like for you. A lot of times it's those small expenditures in the categories of preferred and desired that really add up, but that we're not really aware of. I know for years I waitressed, and that was actually how I paid my bills, right? And I know a lot about this tracking money thing. I've been unhoused, I've been food insecure. I've really had times in my life where I've struggled to just make those ends meet for the essentials. And when I waitressed, and through part of that period, I was really struggling to pay for essentials, right? But I didn't realize, because I was carrying around more cash, that I was just spending $2 here and $2 there, and it was adding up, and it was impacting my ability to buy groceries and my ability to pay my electric bill and things like that. And so I say that to tell you all that I have been there. That's why I started doing this. And I know for many, there were also years where I was not spending, right? I wasn't spending that $2 here or there, but I was still struggling to pay for groceries. I was still living on bread and peanut butter. And no, I do not recommend that. But that's what was happening, because that's where I was at. That was my financial cap, and that was the best I could do. That happens too. But tracking everything will help you feel more empowered and more confident. And if you are in that situation where you're thinking, okay, I'm only spending on the things I really need, but I'm still struggling, this is where you can start making mindful decisions about, do you need to change jobs? Do you need a different job? Do you need to look into some sort of support? So this is the space where you really begin to recognize where those gaps are, and you can think through how you may fill them to make you feel more comfortable, right? So we're tracking out of curiosity, not punishment, just curiosity. Number 5 is check-in. Check-in regularly. Still now, all these years later, I occasionally will track my spending, and I will go through a deep dive check-in just to make sure everything is aligned. But every single week or month, whichever works better for you, you want to create the habit where you check in. You take a look at your credit card statements. You make sure that you're not being billed for things that you thought you canceled. You're making sure that you're on target with whatever your mini goal is. You're reassessing whether you need to change your mini goal, perhaps. You're making some adjustments. Now, if you are in a partnered relationship and you are sharing finances in any way, whether that means that you keep your money separate and you each pay separate bills, or that means that you have your money pooled together, whatever that looks like, checking in with your partner is really helpful and important to make sure everyone's on the same page and avoid any miscommunication around finances. Now, I have a lot of thoughts around merging money with partners, and actually in the next habit is related to this. If you are watching this video and you're like, I could really use some help with advising about this money and relationships, money and marriage, just let me know in the comments. I'll create another video especially for that, because this is an area that gets dicey. And I do have some experience and ideas around how to make this happen easiest with the blending of finances for financial and home expenses. It's kind of a unique take on how this can be done to address different income levels and different situations. So just let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in, and I will put that together for you. Number 6 is the habit of remembering that relationships are business. Even though they always say keep your business and your relationship separate, keep your finances and your relationship separate, there is pretty much always some sort of financial component in your business or in your relationships. And it's almost completely unavoidable, even if you're not in partnered relationships, even if you're not married. The understanding that, for example, in your family, there is a expectation that everyone buys gifts for everyone at Christmas time, but that's not working in your budget, or that doesn't reflect your values, and you want to make an adjustment there, right? That's where finance and relationships merge together. You have somebody in your family who wants you to loan them money. You want to borrow money from someone in your family. Understanding that relationships are very impactful to your finances makes a huge difference, because it allows you to create boundaries and really evaluate what matters to you when it comes to finance and relationships. If you go out to dinner or lunch with your friends, for example, regularly, do you prefer that you all split the bill? Do you have a hard time saying that, right? If you have a family member who likes to borrow money from people, who is more financially free, they spend more, and they end up getting into trouble and not being able to pay bills, how obligated do you feel to loan them money? And what kind of boundaries can you create around that? And how can you communicate that, right? Or just like in Friends, if y'all watch Friends, that whole thing about how Phoebe, Rachel, and Joey make less money than Monica, Chandler, and Ross, but Monica, Chandler, and Ross always want to do something special to celebrate everything. And they go to the restaurant and they want to split the bill equally. These are the kinds of things that can come up in your relationships that you really need to think about and think through and be mindful and intentional about. There has been a lot of research done here that shows that if your peer group or your friends are more likely to spend more freely, you probably are too. That will influence you. Again, finances and diet really mirror each other. So, for example, if you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to give up alcohol for Sober November, for example, but you have a standing margarita and salsa and chip night with your friends, when you go with them, you're very likely to break that. You're much more likely to have a margarita with them than you would if, say, you went to a coffee shop because that's your goal, right? It's the same exact thing. If you have friends who enjoy retail therapy, they like to shop with you, they like to splurge on handbags or expensive dinners out, you may find that you're spending more than you otherwise would. And so being really aware of how your relationships affect your finances, how expectations in your relationships affect your finances, can help you create the habit of evaluating that, creating intention there, communicating boundaries there, right? And finding ways to stick with your goals or create relationships with people who have similar goals to you. I'm not saying you have to ditch the other people, but it can be really helpful to also have a good support system of people who are aligned with you. Number 7 is save realistically. So often I see people create these really big savings goals for themselves. It's very similar to setting the goal of buying something very expensive. For example, putting a down payment on a house when you have never saved before. It's really important that we really think about what is the amount that we can save. What is my threshold? When you go to track your finances, especially if you're using the workbook, you might notice that you have a lot of desired items. You have a lot of things that you spend on that are just things that you enjoy, like Starbucks or going to the vending machine halfway through your workday. And so you may notice that, and you might feel like you should eliminate all those things right now and save all of that money. And I'm going to tell you that that's not very likely to work. So let's be realistic about what we're comfortable giving up or what we're comfortable sacrificing so that we can save. And let's be consistently mindful of being proud of ourselves and celebrating our progress, even if it's not exactly where we want it to be yet. Saving money is like exercising, right? It's like lifting weights. No one goes to the gym for their first time ever and expects to lift the same amount of weight as Arnold Schwarzenegger. So just because some people are like, I can save 25% of my income, doesn't mean you can, right? And if you've never saved before, starting with $5 a week or starting with 1% of your income is a big step. It's a step to be really proud of. So be realistic when you set that goal. Set it in a way that you know I'm building this muscle, right? I'm not the Arnold Schwarzenegger of finance. I'm building the muscle. And so I'm going to do that gradually. Yeah. All right. Number 8 is invest early. A lot of people think you have to have like tens of thousands of dollars to invest, but that is actually not true. And because of the way that the interest works, the earlier you invest, the better off you'll be in the long run. Now, if you are not there yet, that is okay. But what I see a lot of times is young people in their early 20s who get into careers, right? They don't have kids yet, they don't have a lot of expenses yet, and they don't take advantage of things like a 401k, right? The issue, or parents of children, they want to help their children with their college expenses or their trade school expenses after high school, but the parents don't start saving until the child is in 9th grade. I recently read this comment in this working moms group where one of the moms said that what she did is when her kids started elementary school, she invested the daycare money. So she took whatever she would spend on daycare and just put it into a college fund for her child. This is a great idea. When you get into 401ks and 529 college funds, those investments are pre-tax dollars. So it also saves you on your taxes. This is a little bit of a more advanced topic, but I really want to encourage you to think about investing. Even if you don't have a lot of money to invest, that doesn't mean that you can't invest, right? Just having a couple $100s to set aside in an investment will really help. The sooner you do it, the better, because it gives it time to grow. And that makes a really, really big difference. So I just want to encourage you. You don't have to be Warren Buffett. You don't have to be a financial genius to be able to invest. Take the opportunities where you can take them and start investing. And number 9, this is the most important one of all, is pause. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you to pause because you want to stop and think before you buy something, right? And I do use that technique. I am a big fan of online shopping and Amazon, and I get all the ads for the cute outfits on my Facebook too. And I add things to the cart, and then I wait 24 hours before I check out so that I can make sure I really do want that thing. But what I mean when I'm saying pause is really think about what's happening with your finances. Really think about whether or not that's aligned with your personal values and goals. I feel like in the 21st century, we're not talking enough about alignment. And here's why I say that. I keep seeing so many things about hustle harder, have a side hustle, have multiple streams of income, all of these things, okay? Here's the deal. You have 3 resources: time, money, and energy. And there is a consistent shuffling of these resources, right? To get more money, you have to spend time or you have to spend energy. To get more energy, you have to spend time, right? Like if you want to have energy for your day, you need to spend some time in bed sleeping. This is true. And the same thing is always true with money. But what happens is so often people get so focused on earning more that they forget about the time and energy they're sacrificing to do it. And it's really important to be mindful of that. Here's why. In many, many cases, in order to have some of the physical things you want, you'll have to work more. That'll be more time. That'll be more energy. And if you can't enjoy those things because you're spending so much time making the money, right? Then what's the point? I hold no judgment toward whatever your values are, but I am encouraging you to live your values. If you need to take on a second job to have a bigger house, and having the bigger house is worth it to you to take on the second job, by all means, do it. If you need a side hustle to afford a Louis Vuitton bag and it's worth it to you because you want that bag, do it. I mean that with all sincerity. Do it. Okay? But do not forget that you are making a sacrifice, right? You're sacrificing that time. And make sure that that's aligned, that you're willing to do that so that you don't just get sucked in to making more money and buying more things and you're on that hamster wheel and now you can't stop, but you don't have time to enjoy your life. It matters that when we approach our financial choices, whether that be to earn more or spend less or invest more or whatever those financial choices are, that they reflect our personal values with consideration for all of our resources and the sacrifices that we'll have to make in other arenas as well. Pausing will give you the opportunity to identify what financial freedom looks like for you, what comfort looks like for you. And I know for me personally, this week we're coming up on the anniversary of my dad's passing, and he passed away at 43 years old of a massive heart attack. Okay. And I have always said that because of that, it made me reassess how I feel about money versus time, because I know how precious time is, right? And I'm not willing to trade oodles of time or bundles of time for money. And structuring my life in a way where I'm mindful consistently of the fact that time matters more to me. To me, it doesn't have to matter more to you. Helps me to live a more mindful and intentional life. And I wish the same for you, because you do deserve to live your best life. You deserve to live a life that you feel really good about and really, really proud of. And taking a moment to pause and reassess and make sure that we're making decisions and living our lives in alignment with what matters most to us as individuals. That's how you do it. Remember, you are absolutely amazing. And do not forget to subscribe. Next week, I'm going to be talking about financial stress and how to avoid financial stress. And I want to remind everyone that the course, How to Take Control of Your Money, is available. And I want to remind everyone that the course, Take Control of Your Money, along with the workbook and the EPD spreadsheet, is available in Inner Circle. If you're not in Inner Circle yet, it's $7.99 a month, $7.99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Get in there and check it out. Get all kinds of good stuff, resources, courses, live coaching with me. You get it. So go on and get in there, and I will see you there. Bye, everyone.